Welcome back. You're watching Editors Forum exclusive to Galaxy Television. So resident doctors insist that except they get lots of their unpaid salaries right on their phones, they are not getting back to work. I'm joined now by Nelson Akujimi, online journalist and public affairs analyst. Thank you very much for finding time to come.
Thank you very much for having me.
Lekon Shote is a veteran broadcast journalist, is also a columnist with the Punch newspaper. Thank you very much for coming, sir.
Thank you, Nifemi.
All right, so the debate is ongoing, Nelson, as regards whether doctors should go on strike at all, because they say there's this particular oath that they sign, and then there's also the life of people involved. But put this side by side with someone saying that he hasn't gotten salary from February.
Well, thank you very much. I think despite the fact that we understand what is called the Hippocratic Oath, that doctors' primary responsibility is to save lives. But you also know very well that it is only somebody who is alive that can save life. It is only somebody who is well motivated, that are putting his best, in giving us optimal productivity in his or her place of, responsibility. So the doctor now we have to recognize the fact that before the doctor can save lives, he must be alive. He must be in the right frame of mind. The doctor must not be thinking that, oh, my landlord is on my neck. My children have to go to school, but in the last 6 months they've been hanging there at home. My family is in turmoil because of the financial crisis. So it is very, very imperative that the doctor must also be looked at from the view of any other human being, because the doctor is not a spirit. The doctor is also facing the economic challenges that every one of us, as normal human beings are facing. So we must recognize that, like the Bible says, a laborer deserves his wages.
How do you weigh in on this? Medical doctors, I mean, people will say there's possibility that people are really going to die. Is this not blood money that you're asking for? There are about 7 main demands, and most of it still boils down to promotion and pay. How do we place that side by side with the value of life?
Well, Nifemi, in business school, we were taught that employers pay for 3 things: your time, your energy, and skill. Time that you could have spent doing something else. There's something called opportunity cost. Energy. You and I know if you don't eat, there's no energy to work. You understand? And of course, your skill. Somebody invested in your education, and then there has to be some kind of payback. So we cannot, just like Nelson said, these guys are human beings, they are not spirits. They have body, they have corporeal bodies that has to be nourished. So it's we need to understand, and they have what they call the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors. I think that's a labor group. So this group is talking about how do you ensure that these people are able to continue to provide the services. Do you understand? I think it would be unfair for us to just say, oh, they should stick to their hypocritical, even if they are going to be hypocrites, by pretending. Hey, was it not during the week that the Ministry of Health was contemplating bringing in doctors to replace them? And those doctors going to be paid? The ones that would have replaced them. Though they have now said they should disregard the circular and all that. But the point is that if you wanted somebody else to replace those doctors, you have to be paid.
What does this tell about the Muhammadu Buhari-led administration? Many of these issues happened there even before 2015 when it came to power. So people are asking, what really has it done? Also, we're still coming back with the same agreement that has been signed since 2009. Does this mean that the government hasn't really done anything as regards solving these fundamental challenges? We're talking about the academics, we're also talking about health. These are pivotal sectors of our economy, which also were pivotal to the electioneering promises of Muhammadu Buhari. Let me hear your point of view.
Well, the interesting thing about all this development is that, like we always say, government is a continuum. And the government inherited all these agreements. And whether the new government signs into it or not, she has that obligation, to fulfill those contractual agreements. One would have expected before now that the most appropriate thing for the government to have done when the doctors and the lecturers gave that notice, that they should have looked into that agreement. Because between you and I, those doctors or lecturers, they are responsible parents. They have children, children in those schools. Even the doctors we are saying, their families also fall sick. Their families could also be patients, in those hospitals. So it is not because, they want, to punish the patients, or because they don't love what they are doing, but because they have been pushed to the wall. And I think it is high time we call on the government that it is not only when labor unions give notice of strike that you should address their grievances, that every point in time in the life of an administration, there must always be that engagement between the government, the workers, and the citizenry. That is the only way to build a cordial and harmonious relationship. But when you wait until the time that negotiations are supposed to take place, or when they break down, then you will be faced with this dilemma that we are currently faced with. So it is an unpalatable experience for us all. It is one that we also recognize the fact that these are lean times for the government, that they've told us clearly that, look, we don't have the means. But I believe strongly that these labor unions, either NARD or ASU, are unions of responsible men and women, that if you take them into confidence, that, look, gentlemen, an agreement has been signed with you. We agree to this agreement. Please, can you give us this time frame? We are committed to this agreement. I'm sure they are not unrealistic, not to be responsible and responsive to the realities of the moment.
Interestingly, one of the demands of the doctors, the association wants the Minister of Health, Isaac Adewale, former Health Minister Onyebuchi Chukwu, and one other, to be sanctioned for carrying out activities and actions inimical to the welfare and progress of the association. But the question on my mind right now is that, how long is it going to take Buhari to solve these issues? This is perhaps his second year or third year in office. Are these challenges impossible? Will it take 2 terms to solve the issue of ASU and resident doctors? I mean, many people are asking, what's the essence of governance if these basic issues are not solved?
But Nifemi, see, I'm going to look at this from an analytical point of view. Who are the people speaking on behalf of government? There are 2 groups. There are the civil servants that were with the PDP government, that were with the military government, that have always been. That's why they call them PABSEC or something. Yeah. Because they're always there.
The bureaucracy.
That's right, the bureaucracy. Their tenure is
permanent.
Goes from one government to the other. These are the people who have the repository of actions and inactions of past governments, who should actually come up with. That is why you see there's continuity in the government. Those are the people who are always in government. Now, when the politicians now come, these guys now come and start to teach them, Minister, you can't do it like this. This is what you should do. And then they guide them, and then they sort of put them in some kind of bind. I'm trying to say that rather than sanction the minister, I'm not saying the minister, I don't even know him, but I'm saying that the civil servants in Nigeria, who are the ones in the Ministry of Health, the ones in the Ministry of Labor, those in the Ministry of Education, those ones who are guiding the politicians, needs to be sanctioned to start with. However, my point is this. When you are coming to government, before you started giving us your manifesto, did you identify the problems that Nigerians are facing in the health sector, in the educational sector, and various other sectors? And what are your solutions? That is what I think this government is lacking.
Let's bring the viewer.
Very dangerous.
Let's bring the viewer in very quickly. You can be a part of the program by sending us a text message to the number showing on your screen. It's 08035181304. We'd love to hear from you. Let's move on to our next subject of discussion very quickly. Good news to Nigerians. The National Bureau of Statistics in the course of the week said that we're out of recession. Now that means 2 things. On one side, Nigerians are asking, did you tell the market woman that we're out of recession? How come the prices haven't changed? And now it appears that Buhari also wouldn't have other excuses that we're in a recession not to work. So we spoke with a couple of Nigerians on the street and some professionals. Even Professor Wale Soyinka also bear his mind on these. Let's have a take of what they feel